We thought we'd do something a little bit different today. We'd pose in a public pathway. As both Con and I have the L35 compact autofocus film camera.
Did you see how compact it is? It was in my pocket and you didn't even notice.
It's all right. We're gonna show you what it's like shooting with these lightweight little film bodies.
And hopefully we get some sun in the meantime.
We can but hope. We've actually got two slightly different versions of this camera. Con has the original L35 and I have the L35AF2.
All right, so it's year 1983, the OG L35F comes out. And there were actually two versions of the same model. Mine is the earlier one. The main difference is that the maximum ISO you can set on this camera is 400 ISO. And then the later model would go up to 1000 ISO. So slightly different, but actually there's no other difference between that particular model. Now, yours is AF2 model.
Yeah, so this is actually completely different. They simplified the design when this one came out. So they removed the filter rim from the front. They actually removed the ability to set your ISO, so you can only use DX film in this camera, which means that the ISO is set automatically and that the choice of film is maybe a little bit more limited, but not too much.
Yeah, all the main brands, your Portraits, your Fujifilms will work just fine. It's one of the odd ones without the DX labeling, may struggle in it.
That's right. And then the other thing that they removed is the exposure compensation. So yours actually has a lever.
Yeah, so there's a lever on the side of the lens, and if you push it down, it will overexpose the image by 2 stops. So if you don't want to use flash and you're photographing a backlit subject, that might help just a bit. But obviously, if you don't press this, normally the flash will pop up, and then it's automatic, so you have to push it down if you actually don't want to use it.
So mine also has a simpler lens design, so it's 4-element lens instead of 5 elements.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see much of a difference. For the purists, you may say that probably this one is slightly better, but realistically speaking, it's a point-and-shoot camera. Highly unlikely you'll spot that. Now, let's talk about Nikon point-and-shoots. We have the top models, which is 28 and 35 Ti, and this one would compete probably with 35 Ti. And it's not as expensive as camera, which is really good. In my opinion, it gets really, really close to it, but because it's actually underappreciated by the film community, so it doesn't cost you arm and leg like Contax T2 or T3 cameras, etc., or Yashicas. It's kind of, you can pick one up if you look well enough, and about £100 on eBay. So I picked mine up for about 50 quid. You paid even less, I think.
Yes, although mine wasn't fully working and I had to get it repaired. But sometimes you can find them with fairly easy things to fix. And that's what I did with this one. So there you go. So tell me, Con, is this a camera you would use for street photography?
To be honest with you, no. And the reason for that being is as soon as it gets dark, the automatic flash pops up. There's no way to lock it, which means you have to be ready for this. And then if you're trying to be discreet, that goes into the person's face. You have to push it down, take shot. It's overexposed. You don't know what you're shooting at, the shutter speed, etc., etc. So I would say it's a good camera to throw away in your pocket because it's very, very pocketable, as you can see. It's not as expensive as those super expensive Contax and Yashica points and shoot. The lens is not moving, so there's no way to break it. So overall, I guess if you don't drop it on concrete floor, you should be fine. Not for street photography, I would say party, take with you camera. If you don't want to carry digital point and shoot, this would be the one. And again, 36 frames, you know, I would personally say it's reasonable. If you shooting, if you're pushing your film to something like 800,000 ISO speed, get a slightly later model than mine. Maybe you can get AF35, the first version, but make sure it goes to 1000 ISO.
Let's talk about different versions. We've got yours, which is the original L35AF.
They had 2 of those in the same model.
Then they had an L35AF with a date back.
They call it D.
Then we had the L35AF2, like this one, and a date back version.
So they also had AF3 and AW. Now, AF3 is a standard one of those, again, more simplified than the previous models, but AW version is all weather effectively. And that one would be good to take with you on the beach, underwater, etc., etc.
Don't mind getting a bit of dirt on it. The last version they did was actually a 2-lens version, so I think it was called an L35AF TT.
That one is quite cool because it's got 2 lenses, 35mm lens and 70. So it's not a zoom, it's actually a 2-lens version.
Go figure.
Thank you very much for watching. Please give us a like and a subscribe.
And if you found this video super useful, there's super thanks button as well. Hit it if you can.